Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Laces Out podcast. That's right, NFL football coming your way. No guest this week. It's a bit of a theme sometimes. Sometimes there's a guest, sometimes there isn't. Who knows? This is one of those weeks there's no guest. But myself, my glamorous co-host, managed to. I think we do okay. I think we do all right. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around. If you've got an NFL fan in your life, send them on this podcast. They might even thank you for it. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast. Laces Out.
Recording in progress.
Yes. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. The tones and the words of the lovely lady you just heard there probably tell you it's time once again for some CookieCast nature to come your way. And this week, on this particular occasion, it is the NFL podcast that Laces Out coming your way with myself and your podcast leader, head honcho, Don, Granddaddy, Grand Poobah. I think these are all words that have been said before. Mr. Andrew Cook, how are we, sir?
I quite like Poobah.
I've obviously heard it somewhere before. I can't for the life of me think where. But yes, I've always quite enjoyed it as a little saying. The Grand Poobah.
I could implement it in my house and just only go by Poobah from now on,
Well,
rather than or you and those other words that we can't use on a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah. Oi, the click sound normally,
like calling
favourite.
over a waiter, but
Of course.
It's a
Well,
parent.
you are of course a waiter of sorts in that particular household, surely.
Yeah, I often have to use the phrase, I am not your slave. So.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Andrew Cook is no one's slave. However, is he a slave to the National Football League? That is, of course, what we're here to find out this week. The people watching on YouTube will notice, sadly, no third person in this little particular call.
And this is unfortunately one of those situations. Not everybody's available at all times, but I will say this: I tried to make a square peg fit in a round hole, and that square peg said, "Nah, mate, I'm busy." So that was that. Just had to
Not to worry.
Soldier on.
We will make it work, and we have made it work in the way that only we can on the CookieCast network for Week 8's picks. But obviously, to get to Week 8's picks, we've got to go through Week 7's picks first. So, Week 7. Last week saw a guest on the podcast for the first time in checks notes 3 weeks? Yeah, 3 weeks. Stu was our last guest in Week 4. Last week's guest was James Forrester Gray, podcast alum, who has been on the podcast numerous times before to give his opinions and his very much unbiased or non-Cardinals biased when it comes to his predictions as it pertains to what he wants for this season. So, James was the guest. James provided his picks. And the results of those picks are as follows. In joint last place / second place with 5 out of 13 selections correct.
Holy smokes.
Oh dear. It is myself and the other podcast host, Mr. Andrew Cook.
Oh, I think we might.
I could go through the teams that let us down. It's just easier to go through the teams that we got correct. at this point. So our 5 points collectively came from the Jaguars beating the Saints, the Browns beating the Colts, the Seahawks beating the Cardinals, the Chiefs beating the Chargers, and then I had the Eagles beating the Dolphins, and Andy had the Ravens beating the Lions.
Wow.
Wow would be the way I would put it as well, yeah.
Did we do well?
Out of the 13 selections, we got 8 wrong. That could be an all-time worst performance.
I'm starting to rethink my status as a NFL podcast host.
So, which means taking the win, only getting 7 of 13 selections correct. So James didn't beat us by much. Although, whereas we got 8 selections wrong, he obviously only got 6 selections wrong. So it could have been a hell of a lot worse. The selections that James got right were the Jaguars beating the Saints, the Bears beating the Raiders, the Browns beating the Colts, the Falcons beating the Buccaneers, the Seahawks beating the Cardinals, the Broncos beating the Packers, saying nothing, the Chiefs beating the Chargers. So all that does for the scores is it leaves myself on 1.5 points for the season. Andy remains on 2 points for the season. The guest extends their lead to 3.5 points. What does that do?
If it keeps going like this, we're going to have to look at some kind of handicap system because the guest is just pulling away, and I feel like it's not maybe fair.
Well, I mean, that's the reason we have these selections in there, Andrew, is to make ourselves look foolish and make the guest look infinitely better.
That is true, surely. Because we get a bigger bite of the pie because we get another go.
Exactly. So, the Week 7 side bet, I hear you screaming. How did that go down? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. So we went into the week. Andy was on 15 points. I was on 17 points. So Andy had the right or the option to pick first or put me in to pick first. He decided to pick first. And his first selection of the Buffalo Bills to meet the New England Patriots did not pay off for him. His second pick of the San Francisco 49ers to meet the Minnesota Vikings did not pay off for him. His third pick of the Green Bay Packers.
Oh my! If you tell me I went,
did not pay off.
If you tell me I went 0-4 this week, I am gonna have to seriously reconsider.
His fourth selection of the Cleveland Browns did pay off for him as they defeated the Colts, getting him 1 point from the side bet, moving him on to 16 points for the season. Well done, Cook.
Oh, yeah, well done.
That's 16 points from a possible 28 so far. My selections, however... So again, I went into this week on 17 points, so I was looking to extend my lead if at all possible. So my first selection of the Seattle Seahawks to beat the Arizona Cardinals was correct. My second selection of the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Los Angeles Chargers was also correct. My third selection of the Washington Commanders to beat the New York Giants was very much incorrect. And my fourth selection of the Los Angeles Rams to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers was also very incorrect. So I only got 2 points out of a possible 4 for the week, moving me on to 19 points from a possible 28. Not the best week for either myself or Mr. Cook. Can we pull it back somewhat with the Week 7 stats? Don't we know how that would give either of us any sort of solace or,
I can
kick up the arse or shot in the arm, but they're there, so we might as well go through them.
I can only work on the principle that it means that we're not picking games, so, maybe that's maybe that's where we're winning. I suppose we could always be not going 35 miles an hour over the speed limit as well. That'd be a good one to do. And this is week 6's stats, brought to us by the stats mistress. Go
Week
on.
7 stats.
You see, we're already off to a bad start here, aren't we? Because it says 6 right here. That's not going to be good.
It should be fine. It's covering the games that were played this Sunday, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's just a typo. And honestly, that's understandable if I told you what time I received this. So, they are brought to us by the stats mistress, who apparently can't count. But they're brought to her by Nate Davis of USA Today. Our first meaty stats. The stats at this point in the season, they start to get those meaty clackers. Number 1. The 4th Sunday of October marked National Tight Ends Day. I, personally, in my house, I made no comment. There was no titters, no guffaws, no nothing about National Tight Ends Day.
I don't recognise that as a national holiday.
No, I didn't get a day off out of it. I know that much. So, what can I say? And the Baltimore Ravens, Mark Andrews, tried to steal the spotlight early on by hauling in a pair of touchdowns in a surprising 38-6 dismantling of the NFC North leading Detroit Lions. Just let that soak in. Leading Detroit Lions. I can think of other things the Detroit Lions have led in the last few years. That's not one of them. Number 2. But Andrews was merely keeping the seat warm. For National Tight End of the Year, for so many reasons, Travis Kelce, who was instrumental in the AFC West leading Kansas City Chiefs 31-17 defeat of the Los Angeles Chargers. Kelce finished with 12 catches for 179 yards and a touchdown, doing the bulk of his damage in the first half. Number 3, another meaty stat. And speaking of an MVP race, Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes, 424 yards, 4 touchdown passing. And Baltimore's Lamar Jackson, 357 yards, 3 touchdown passing. 36 yards and a rushing touchdown. Both previous winners of the award may have officially declared their candidacy Sunday. Opportune timing given the unimpressive night Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa had losing against his former Alabama Crimson Tide teammate Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. 4th stat, not as meaty. Colts quarterback Gardner Minshew led a balanced offensive at Indy's 39-38 loss to the Cleveland Browns, producing 4 touchdowns, 2 pass, 2 rush, and 4 turnovers, 3 fumbles and an interception. Yikes. Number 5 is my meatiest stat. Cleveland defensive end Myles Garrett had quite a day, bolstering a building case for his first Defensive Player of the Year award. The All-Pro pass rusher became the first player this century with multiple sacks, multiple fumbles forced, and a blocked kick in the same game. And can I just say, His pair of strip sacks and a swat of a field goal try after he hurdled the line directly leading to 17 Browns points in their 1-point win. Garrett's 82 career sacks are the most ever by a player yet to turn 28. That stat came up on the day and I was like, I mean, the NFL is just going way off the reservation this season. They're like, we're going to really turn up the stats machine to, it's not 11.
It was one of those ones where it just sort of came through, like, obviously everyone used to think that, like, J.J. Watt was a bad man. But obviously Myles Garrett has just taken on his mantle as bad man. He's absolutely massive. And like,
so
on Instagram, I can't remember where it was, but it was, they'd put like a side to, it was on the reels, and it was a still shot of him leaping over the defensive line. The offensive line to block the field goal. And then the next video was the video of him doing his box jumps in the off season. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, to put it into perspective, they gave his stats, like his height and weight stats, and I called a big BS on his weight because I compared him to me. Yeah. Swiftly moving on from talking about people's weight, let's talk about stat number 6 for the week. Cleveland's Dustin Hopkins is the only kicker in the league history to drill a field goal from at least 50 yards in 5 consecutive games in one season. Bossing it. I did see something else about that, but probably not appropriate. Number 7, and my final stat for this week, is about Ravens running back Gus Edwards. Had a career best 144 yards from scrimmage, most of it on an 80-yard catch and run. Prior to Sunday, Edwards had never had more than 37 receiving yards in a game. Way to dial up those stats right there. That is my final stat for the week. I'll hand you over to Paul for some more stats.
Yes, indeedy. So, continuing on. Believe it or not, Patrick Mahomes, 300.4 passing yards per game, and the Los Angeles Chargers' Justin Herbert, 285.6 yards per game, ended Sunday as the most prolific quarterbacks in the NFL history on a passing per game basis. Drew Brees, with 280 yards per game, is third. Mahomes and Herbert combined for nearly 700 yards on Sunday. On the opposite end of that spectrum was Sunday's matchup of backup quarterbacks at Soldier Field. The Chicago Bears and rookie Tyson Bagent, he threw for 83 yards in his Week 6 debut, hosting the Las Vegas Raiders and journeyman QB2 Brian Hoyer, 138.1 yards per game during his lengthy career. Bagent and Hoyer combined for 291 yards in an ugly game. The Dolphins' top-ranked offense didn't show up Sunday night in Philadelphia. The Fins' 17 points, 244 net yards, 199 passing and 45 rushing were easily all season lows. After outlasting the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday, the Pittsburgh Steelers have won after each of their past 7 bye weeks. A little stat for those of you who need a little wager for next season. Get your money on the Steelers the week after the bye. The New York Giants scored all of their points in Sunday's 14-7 victory over the Washington Commanders in the second quarter. Tight end Darren Waller and running back Saquon Barkley finding the end zone. Yeah, I was pretty sure about this one. I'm pretty sure that was 14-7 at half-time and never changed.
Which I always think, when it's that, I always think about what it must be like to sit through a second half of a game like that. Because obviously, you know, when you've got, like, there's a lot of movement on the ball backwards and forwards, you've got the fact that no matter how you slice it, an NFL game is never the fastest sport. It's just not. You've got entire teams to go off, entire teams to come on. there's a lot of, we just happen to have this break here so that we can definitely fit in 900 adverts.
It is weird. It is weird when you think, because obviously, like, there's been times in like Super Bowls and things like that where you sort of get a bit of a lull in the game. And it kind of goes like 3 and out punt, 3 and out punt, 3 and out punt, and like, when the teams are just punting it back and forth to each other, it does lose steam a bit. So I wonder if that was the case on Sunday. Last two for me. Congrats to unsung Jacksonville Jaguars linebacker Foyesade Oluokun, whose name I have almost certainly just butchered there, who scored his first career touchdown Thursday with a 24-yard pick six off the New Orleans Saints quarterback Derek Carr. Now in his 6th NFL season, Oluokun is on track to lead the league in tackles for the 3rd straight season. And finally, another shout-out to another Jags player. Running back Travis Etienne, the first player in team history to rush for multiple touchdowns in 3 consecutive games. Well played to you, sir.
I do.
Very, very nice.
I do enjoy having him in the old fantasy lineup.
Indeed, that's week 7, done and dusted. Just week 8 left to go through. So we'll go through the picks that myself and Mr. Cook have made. Obviously, we had to dial A for emergency this week, and obviously Mrs. Williams did the solid and answered the phone call and provided us with some picks. So we had a guest picks to go through this week. So week 8's games start with the Thursday night football, like they always do. This week's Thursday night football offering is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills obviously looking to bounce back from a disappointing loss to the New England Patriots, which obviously gave Bill Belichick his 300th career win as a head coach, no less. Myself and Andy fully expect the Bills to bounce back on this one. Amy's taken the surprise Buccaneers win. Stranger things have happened. Watch his space. We then move to Sunday's slate of games. Oh, also, no buys in this week's fixtures, which I didn't realise was a thing. I thought once the buys had started, there was a buy, at least 2 teams on buy every week until about Thanksgiving.
That's what I was always under the impression. I always thought it ran bye week until like week 10.
Yeah, strange one, but obviously something's occurred where there's no teams on bye this week. So we move to the Sunday slot of games, and this is the week in the season where the clocks are a bit skewed. I don't know if it's that the American clocks go forward or back a week earlier than ours, or ours go forward or back a week ahead of theirs.
Is it that situation we get? Is it 1 week or 2 weeks where the games start at 5?
Just the one. So it's just for the 1 week, and I'm pretty sure it is. I'm not pretty sure. It's definitely this week, as all the games are kicking off at either 5 p.m. or 8:05 or 8:25, as opposed to 9:05 and 9.
I've got to admit, I do like that 5 o'clock kickoff, because it's just more football in your life at the end of the day.
It's football gets done an hour earlier, in theory. So the first of the 5 o'clock Sunday games sees the Houston Texans taking on the Carolina Panthers. Now, I'm the only one here who's taken the Panthers to get their first win of the season.
Ooh. Why?
Because I believe that team is getting better and won't go the entire season with losing every game.
I'm tempted to put money on it. I'm tempted to actually put money that they will lose every game. That they are a dumpster fire and have been for a while.
Yeah, they're not great.
Oh man! When I saw earlier today 0-6, I was like, there we go. That's that.
So you and Amy have taken the Texans, whereas I've got the Panthers. The next couple of games, we've got consensus picks across the board. We've all taken the Cowboys to beat the Los Angeles Rams in Dallas. Surprisingly enough, we've all taken the Vikings to beat the Packers in Green Bay. Something doesn't quite smell right from the with the Packers at the moment. Definitely some teething problems there for old Jordan Love. Next up, it's the Saints at the Colts. You and Amy have both backed the Saints to get the win here. I think the Colts will have just enough to get past the Saints there.
Honestly, that was one of the ones where I looked at the game and was like, oh man, I don't want to pick this game. And I had to just kind of lean in a particular direction.
Yeah, not surprised. So, Colts for me, Saints for you two. The next couple, again, we have consensus picks. We have all taken the Dolphins to bounce back against the New England Patriots in Miami. And surprisingly enough, we've all taken the Jets in the Battle of New York. Jets versus Giants. We've all taken the Jets in this one. Didn't know whether someone would be tempted to go for the Giants, but it would appear not.
Another one where I looked at it and I was like, I think I might have been swayed by percentage picks on that one. Neither team are good.
No.
The Jets have been weird. Obviously, the Jets have gone through this whole... They thought they had it locked in. And then week one, it was just... But then there was a lot of... A team isn't what... there's another 50, 52, 51, 53, whatever. X number of men on the team. It's not just one man and da-da-da. It's like, yeah, but you built that team around that man, let's face it. It's like, we'll just put our other quarterback in and it'll all be fine. It's like, But there was a start of the Jets after Donna Kelsey was at the game that they've won every game, is it? That they've won every game since or something? It was like, interesting. So yeah, it was purely a let's go with this.
Well, watch this space. We'll see how it pans out. Next up, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars travelling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Yourself and Amy have both backed the Jaguars on that one. I've gone for the Steelers to get the win there. Home field advantage. I think I'll probably just see them home there. Next up, myself and you have both backed the Falcons to beat the Titans, whereas Amy thinks it'll be the other way around.
Falcons sneaky good.
They're in a winnable division now that Tampa Bay don't have Brady, I would say.
Yeah.
Next up, it's the Eagles taking on the Commanders. We've all taken the Eagles to continue their winning run that they just got back to on Sunday last week. Next up, it's the Browns at Seattle to take on the Seahawks. I'm the only one who's backed the Browns. Andy and Amy have taken the Seahawks. We've all, surprisingly enough, taken the Ravens to beat the Cardinals. We've all taken the Chiefs to beat the Broncos. Shock. Myself and Andy have backed the 49ers to beat the Bengals, whereas Amy has taken the Bengals to win that one. The Sunday Night Football sees the Bears take on the Chargers. Me and Andy have both taken the Chargers, whereas Amy has backed the Bears. And on the Monday Night Football, we've all backed the Lions to beat the Raiders in Detroit. That's the week 8 picks. The week 8 side bet begins right now. So, Mr. Cook, do you want to pick first, or would you like to get me to pick first? The decision is yours.
I will go first. I'm just waiting for the thingy to load. I have a horrible feeling when I was looking through the games earlier today. I was like, this is another week where we're gonna run out of bankers early. So I saw like the first game on the list. I was like, oh, that's an absolute. And then the more I looked at it, I was like, I don't know. So it's things like that. Right, let's get a tasty one out of the way early. Oh, there's the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Denver Broncos, please.
There were two games that I felt were worthy of the first overall pick. So because you've gone with the one of them, I'll go with the other one, and I'll go for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
The Arizona Cardinals is my first choice. And with my second pick, I'll go for the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Washington Commanders.
Yep, that was the only other absolute banker, I feel.
Yeah, your next two selections, my good sir.
Yeah, we're really in the weeds right now. Oh man, I'm saying it now. I'm going to do it, but I don't feel comfortable about it. I will take the Buffalo Bills to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't feel strong on that pick. That's all I'm saying there. Statistically, this is the game. Statistically, that is an absolute banker. But when you're going up against arguably the greatest coach in history, you never know when he's actually going to bring this one back around. But I'm still going to take the Miami Dolphins to beat the New England Patriots. You know, to stay on form and beat the Patriots. But the wind has to change at some point, and now I've picked that as one of my games. It's definitely this week.
So that leaves my last two, and then we go back to Andy for his remaining pick. I will take the Lions to beat the Raiders. My last pick, what do I pick? I'll go with the home field advantage for the Chargers, I think. I'll go for the Chargers to beat the Bears.
That was the other one I was looking at. I was like, I think you can just about safely say that one.
Your last selection?
I'm looking at one, and in a lot of ways, it's potentially a weird one. It also goes against one of your week's picks. I'm doing it. I'm rolling those bones. Houston Texans to beat the 0-6 Carolina Panthers.
Hey, it's not the worst pick I've ever heard. There's definitely worse teams out there that could have been selected, but it's a solid pick. So, just to clarify, Andy's four selections: the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos, the Buffalo Bills at home to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Miami Dolphins at home to the New England Patriots, and the Houston Texans at the Carolina Panthers. My four: the Baltimore Ravens at the Arizona Cardinals, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington Commanders, the Lions at home to the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Chargers at home to the Chicago Bears. Obviously, no guest this week to give their opinion on which of the four they think would be the closest to being a homer or the banker pick. So that kind of brings us to the end of the show this week, Mr. Cook, unless you've got anything to add.
I think I speak for the entire NFL fan base when I say, can we please get... I will use her official name rather than the name that I know her by, but can we please get Taylor Swift off our TVs as soon as humanly possible? That three-way handshake celebration made me vomit actual black tar bile. I don't want to see it. Nobody wants to see it. I'm going to start burning stuff if I have to continue to see it. I cannot even describe the level of anger it creates in me. I can't do it anymore.
Well, for any of you Swifties out there that just happen to be passing whilst this podcast is on, apologies. The thoughts of obviously Mr. Cook are potentially shared by some of the rest of the people on the podcast. We couldn't possibly say.
I will happily say my opinions are my own. They are not representative of CookieCasters Network. But I think we can probably, But yes, I will take I'll take ownership of my opinions and leave it at that.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for you all for joining myself and Mr. Cook to break down and bring you the happenings of the laced ball that takes place mainly in the United States of America, but we try and bring it to you with our flavour from the Isle of Great Britain, United Kingdom, England. Until next week, you stay safe and classy, and we will join you. And we'll join. Well, you join us. That's the way. We can't join you because we're not in your houses. So you come and join us, and we'll break it all down once again for you. Thank you very much, and tatty bye.
So there you go, what do you think to that? Another one done, another week gone, another week of games gone. It's all going. Everything's gone. Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you go, if I can just ask you to do one last thing, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. Send us your picks, people. We'll add them to the book. If you beat us, you get a prize. Simple as that. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode of CookieCast, please like, share and subscribe.